Caleb Sailors joins us, multimedia journalist for SuperTalk. Good morning, Caleb. How are you, sir?
Morning, Paul. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's good to see you. Good to have you. And I thank you so very, very much. Somebody mentioned that I might have mispronounced your name, but at my age, here's the deal. If I mention your name 5 times and I get it right 3, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
People will call me Caleb Sanders sometimes, and so as long as you don't do that, I am A-okay. You can call me whatever you want.
Okay, you? No, seriously, tell me what you know about the story above and beyond where we are now. And I think the article that you put together this morning was very, very good. Rankin County Sheriff Bryan Bailey said he's just not going to resign.
No, he is not stepping down. Well, he's running unopposed this election cycle, and this will be his 4th term as sheriff of Rankin County. And he didn't say this specifically, but he was kind of like, this mess happened under my watch, so I'm going to fix it. Rankin County voters elected me to be their leader, and so I'm going to do that. I'm going to fix this. They hired an outside agency or a firm that has former FBI agents that are going to go in and do an internal audit of the Rankin County Sheriff's Department, their policies, procedures, and everything, and kind of give a list of recommendations on things they can do to prevent this from happening in the future. He's also altered his body cam policy, so now the department, unless a victim of a crime is saying, I want to be interviewed anonymously, officers have to have their body cameras on at all time, no exceptions at all. And they have a compliance officer now, a full-time one, that's going to be randomly inspecting body camera footage as well. And he's doing more to the department, too. He said he's going to do routine training and kind of keep a closer eye on his department now. And he said, told us he was just blindsided by this. He knew multiple of the deputies involved, knew them well, kind of like family members to them. And he looked at one of the reporters, and he was like, it would be like if one of your fellow reporter friends sitting here had committed one of these heinous crimes. Like, you wouldn't have known, you wouldn't have believed it at the time, and he was just shocked that all of this had happened.
And nobody wants to believe that it's true. You sometimes you think, okay, maybe because we've seen this over and over on a national scene. You hope there's more to the story than what is reported. In this particular case, there was more to the story, but unfortunately, it went against the defendants instead of the victims, and that it was just, you could not get it more horrendous. These people were just terrorists.
Absolutely. Well, you have 6 law enforcement officers, right? Guys that wear the badge, that are tasked to serve and protect, doing the exact opposite in a group they called the Goon Squad, where they literally met up together to
They actually called themselves that?
Yes.
Yes. That gives you an idea there, doesn't it?
And that sounds like a terrorist group to an extent, but they would do this stuff. Like, that was part of their routine, and they just went and beat up on these 2 men, and 2 of the officers had been involved in an incident in December where they did similar things, where they fired a gun next to a victim's head. But
crazy.
Making these guys, and you were talking about some of the things they did to the guys. Well, what was revealed in court yesterday was 10 times worse than what we're hearing now or seeing in press releases. Well, you talk about how they were drinking liquids. It wasn't just liquids being forced down these guys' mouths. It was boiled grease. Like, they were boiling grease, boiling water.
Was it hot?
Yes.
You're saying it wasn't boiled, it was actually boiling.
Like, boiling, yes. Like, they were boiling grease and water and making these guys drink it. Yes, and then they were waterboarding them with milk, and then sexually assaulting them, obviously kicking them in the ribs. The worst, it's all bad, but the worst part to me, though, was what they did to Michael Corey Jenkins. Obviously, shooting him was bad enough, but leaving him there laying in his own blood while they try to figure out how to cover it up.
Yeah. All of these people who are convicted or pled guilty are Caucasian Americans?
Yes, every officer was white.
And some of the victims are black, but again, some are white, too, my understanding.
And that's what U.S. Attorney Darren LaMarca said, that these guys committed crimes. They were kind of indiscriminate with the crimes they committed against perceived criminals, right? But they.
I'm asking you some things that this is going to be more subjective. An attorney would say to stop the judge on this one, but why do you think that they did this? Was it just for fun, or did they think that these people had information that they needed?
That's a good question. So one of the questions that was asked to the sheriff yesterday was why they thought they could get away with it.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know why they did it. I don't want to know because I don't have that kind of evil in my heart to commit those kinds of heinous actions against another human being. But, I mean, if you were, I don't know, maybe they thought it would be fun. I mean, they definitely thought they could get away with it for sure. That's part of the reason why they did it, and that's part of the reason why the sheriff was grilled yesterday and why there have been calls for his resignation.
I wonder if there's going to be a lot of pressure on the mayor to make a decision on this one and to intervene. So it'll be interesting to watch the next couple of 3 weeks to see what happens. The other part of that is going forward. Are there more consequences financially or otherwise that could be suffered because of the feds or anybody else on this, as far as the police department in the city?
I'm not sure of the financial ramifications that could occur due to this, but I know that the investigation is still ongoing into this case, and Sheriff Bryan Bailey says there have been more people that have come out and kind of whistleblowed about incidents that have occurred by members of his department. And so
the Goon Squad.
The Goon Squad and other Rankin County deputies. It wasn't really specific, but yeah.
So there could be others within the department.
And he encouraged everybody to go to the MBI, Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, or the FBI with their information because there's only so much he can do at that point. But
isn't there an I'm not sure what the title is going to be, the overnight captain or the person in charge when the sheriff is not there?
The undersheriff?
Yeah, it would be the undersheriff if it's in a county situation.
I believe so.
So nobody's talking about that person who's in charge of these folks on the overnight shift.
No, he mentioned his supervisors. He mentioned some of his staff, and he was like, when these incidents occur, there needs to be a report that comes in, and he was encouraging any victims of these kinds of crimes committed by law enforcement to go to his staff, to go to the FBI and MBI, but he said there was no report. No one. He blatantly said all of the officers lied to him. He was just completely lied to and completely blindsided by everything that occurred. That he didn't know anything that was going on. None of it was reported. And he told the press that one of the first things he asked one of the deputies involved after everything had unfolded, before it was revealed what they really had done, was, why weren't you wearing your body cameras? Why were your body cameras off?
Yep.
And so that was kind of
we know why.
Well, yes, but that was kind of and then it got 2 red flags from the MBI, and he said, okay, well, I'm stepping away, and I'm going to let the people above me handle this investigation.
Were all of the victims in the courtroom?
Yes. Well, the 2 that were involved in the January incident.
Yeah. How are they doing?
I mean, as good as they can. I mean, they were definitely glad to see justice served in this capacity. Yep. The mother of in 2021, one of the officers involved, Elward, was involved in a young man. There was an altercation between him and a young man who passed away in his custody. He got sent to UMC, passed away as a result of police brutality from Elward, and his mother was there. She had no involvement in the January case, but she was wanting to see justice served with this one officer, and we talked to her briefly, and she said it was one of those things where she's glad to see justice served, but doesn't bring her son back.
Well, this has got to weigh heavy on Sheriff Bryan Bailey also, because now you go back and you have a lot of attorneys looking at some of the convictions done from the arrest of these officers, where people may be in jail now, or at least awaiting adjudication, and all of that's going to figure in, wouldn't you think?
Absolutely.
Plus, the good people of Rankin County who had no part in this are going to have to be dishing out some dollars because there are going to be lawsuits. And let me tell you, this one's made national and international news.
Absolutely. Oh, yes.
So when the lawyers get a hold of this one, it's going to be, just open the checkbook.
Absolutely. I mean, you had the assistant U.S. Attorney General speaking on this yesterday, and on the Zoom conference, I was in the actual in-person conference, but on the Zoom conference, you see national, international media on the Zoom conference as well, tuning in to everybody talking about this story. So, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a private citizen, Sheriff Bailey will have to pay, but so will everybody else. It's going to cost, literally, when you get through with this, millions upon millions of dollars, one way or the other.
It's done damage to Rankin County for sure.
Yeah. All right, thank you, man. Appreciate it very, very good reporting.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it.
Mr. Sanders, it's always a pleasure, sir.
You have a good
Caleb Sailors, Multimedia Journalist, SuperTalk News. Thank you, man. Appreciate
have a good Friday.